Ok, buenos días. Estamos directo desde Rosario, Argentina, para presentar a nuestro invitado de hoy. Este es el episodio número 4 de Core Wisdom. Nuestro invitado de hoy es el instructor de artes marciales tailandesas tradicionales, Kru Nuat. Welcome, Kru. How are you doing?
Sorry, Krab. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us today. And I wanted to start. You are a traditional Thai martial arts instructor. Can you tell us when did you start training martial arts?
Yeah, sure. I started very early, and I was, of course, as a kid, as everybody in my generation, we were watching martial arts flicks, and I was super excited to see all those. Like many others, Chinese kung fu was the first influence. But then I started reading a little bit more, and I started watching some movies, and getting a little bit deeper, and I fell in love with Muay Thai. I started Muay Thai when I was 18, since I moved to university, and I started competing. I fell in love with that. The funny thing is that I had never thought to be a competitor. I never thought I wanted to fight extensively. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try fight once. Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna just to try. And I've lost the very first fight, and then the personal, the pride. No, I'm gonna try again, and then slowly and very easily, I fell in love with that. So
Yeah, continue, please.
yeah, I was saying so. Muay Thai was the first love. I've done that for quite a while now, and started in Italy. I've also, as I was learning more and more, I started reading more, and I started seeing different styles and different masters. Even though I've always trained at that time, I've always trained with my master Flavio Monti, which I salute right now. And I started also, I've discovered that there were other groups that were doing Muay Boran. And when I saw what they were doing, I fell in love with that. So I started training for Muay Boran too. I competed in Muay Czech. For those who've never heard of Muay Czech, is the traditional Muay Boran fighting where instead of gloves you have the katreks, which are the ropes you have around your knuckles. Then, according to different styles, for example, in Chiaya, you have them only up to the wrist, or in other style like Muay you have all the forearm with these ropes, and yeah, I fell in love with it. Then the next step was to travel to Thailand. When I was, unfortunately, when I was competing, I was studying. I had just a part-time job. I didn't have the possibility to travel to Thailand, and my very first trip in Thailand was already after I stopped competing in Muay Thai, and I went to a Muay Thai camp, to a famous Muay Thai camp in Phuket, and
All right. Yeah.
yeah, I saw that they were offering Krabi Krabong classes. I knew at that time I knew already what Krabi Krabong was because I had already started digging more and more into the traditional sides of the art. But funny enough, uh, I was not interested. I was not interested, and I had watched some videos on YouTube about Krabi Krabong, and I was saying, yeah, it's cool, yeah, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And once in Phuket, I met a master that would become my very first Thai sword master, Kwo, which is how again, and I started as a yeah, just like playing, and immediately I felt the benefits of that practice was having on me. Of course, sometimes it's easy. You're in a fantastic land, beautiful places, and you do feel more open. It's easier to feel excited about something new. But the more I was practicing, the more I was realizing this thing is really good for me. I feel so much calmer. I feel better. I feel happier. And for a bunch of years, I was going back and forth, and a little bit of frustration was unavoidable because uh, it's almost unknown in in Europe. Krabi Krabong is not a big thing. It's very hard to find people that know what they're talking about. There's little schools here and there. There's some masters, and uh, it was difficult at first to find some good level. So the frustration of training in Thailand and trying to learn as much as possible in short time, and then going back to Europe and only training alone, that was quite tough. And after years, I decided only when I felt that I was ready, then when I studied lots and I started traveling more and more often. Then I met other masters, Kutosapon in Bangkok, Kru Nuat in Kanchanaburi. Only then, when I started feeling more and more confident, I also started competing. I decided maybe I can do my part to spread this arts. Maybe I can do something good to spread the culture and to spread, hopefully, the same feeling of wellness and happiness that I was having in the very early days. So from there, I started as a. It was just an attempt, and sometimes things just roll, and it became easier and easier, and uh, without even realizing, I ended up like where I am right now. So amazing little journey, and it's just the beginning. Our group is still very young. At least we're talking about UK. In Thailand, I'm part of Tactical Thai Swords, which is a group founded by Kutosapon in Bangkok, and he created tactical Thai swords, and then we've got different instructors all over the world. We do have people in Korea, in Cyprus, there's a bunch of schools in Germany, in Russia. So it's slowly spreading and getting bigger and bigger.
Right. Well, speaking of Kru Nuat, he's a very famous Krabi Krabong teacher, but you don't see too much Krabi Krabong teachers on the internet. I don't know. It's maybe because the art is still a little, not. How can I say it?
It's quite young. It's quite young.
Yeah, it's but I mean the art, which is a traditional Thai martial art, it's what comes to my mind is that it's you take Muay Thai and you take Muay Chiaya and you take Muay Boran, and there are, well, Muay Thai is way more popular. Why?
Muay
What is the difference? What is the difference about Krabi Krabong weapons-based martial art that people don't get too much onto it, or they prefer the sport side of the art?
In my humble opinion, I've asked the same question to myself, of course, for obvious reason, and there's some efforts around the world. There's other crews around the world that teach Krabi Krabong. I think the biggest obstacle to overcome when creating a group and wanting to spread this art is that nobody really knows what it is.
Right.
While you have very extremely popular ways to spread Muay Thai. Muay Thai is everywhere, and
Right.
you do see fights, you do see huge organizations. In MMA, the presence of Muay Thai is really big, so everybody have a head of Muay Thai. If you
Right.
compare if you compare Krabi Krabong to other weapon-based systems, I'm talking about Chinese or Filipino um, systems.
Right.
There's a lot of movies. There's a lot of popular culture presence of these arts. While Thai martial arts are still relatively unknown. I do remember the shock that I had. You might remember a very famous movie at the time, On Bak by Tony.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Of
That
course. Tony.
was
Yeah. You're right.
that was the very first time that you could see some authentic presence of Muay Thai and Muay Boran. There's also a scene. A lot of people forget about that, but there's also a scene of uh, Krabi Krabong in the very first Ong Bak. They are in a cave and they grab swords. There's people with my sock that are the actual elbow-based protections to attack. And before then, the only at least and I am a very avid follower of martial arts movies, but
Okay.
the other biggest one that I could remember before that was Van Damme, blood sports, and
Oh,
even though he actually did a lot to spread the knowledge of Muay Thai, the level was, I must admit, the level was incredibly poor. So
right.
you need to, in my opinion, you need to put these two things together. Um, Not a big presence in the pop culture, together with some attempts of people that are still not that well knowledgeable about the arts. Um, I don't want to seem disrespectful by anybody. I actually encourage anybody who learns something and wants to teach to other friends to keep doing that and keep doing the effort. But unfortunately, I've also seen people that have have learned just a very little bit, and they try to push what they've learned as the real thing. I've also seen other in other occasions people that start saying, "Oh, all the other schools are bad. I am the only original." Style. I'm doing the only original style, and all the other masters are doing something wrong.
Right.
Of course, I never believe anybody who says something like that, and
Right.
um, we cannot underestimate that even these characters, let's call them like this, even these characters are still able to attract attention and spread something bad. So when someone who doesn't know much starts comparing styles, real original styles, and something that's not that fake, they start having doubts. So even someone who is interested ends up getting very confused about all such differences, and uh, of course, some sort of rivalry has always been inevitable in between masters. Masters always want to say, "Ah, come to my school. I'm the good one. I have the best
Right.
image." That's unavoidable, and
Right. Right.
I
That
think
happens
that's part of the game.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's everywhere. That's part of the game. But trying to discredit other schools, trying to say I'm the best one, trying to say they're all fake. That's something that ends up damaging the whole art rather than just saying. People sometimes don't say you're ridiculous. They say maybe it's right. Let me see, and then they learn something that's completely different from the original art.
Right. And Kru, talking about traditional Thai martial arts, when we speak specifically about traditional Thai martial arts, do you learn it as a unit? I mean, like in Filipino martial arts, you learn all the systems involved in the traditional martial arts. You start with weapons, then you start with empty hands, knife, all the all the features of the art. And when we talk about traditional Thai martial arts, do you start? Is there? I mean, does in Thailand people teach it with the Krabi Krabong, with the Muay Boran, with the Muay Chiaya, or they are separated? I mean, are they teach other people
Difference.
teach them separately? It's like no, it's not a unit. It's like, well, this we have Krabi Krabong in some province or in some city, or we have Muay Chaya in another city, or Muay Thai is the speciality of this region. How does it work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, uh, it's very much different from what happens in the Philippines, where it's all part of a war unit, and you start with weapons, and then you evolve into empty arms and uh, other weapons and knives and the war system. From what I've seen, Muay Thai is still the biggest one in Thailand. There's Muay Thai shows everywhere. It's the national sports.
Right.
Everybody loves it, and lots of people practice it for to help their families. There's still big poor backgrounds people that start Muay Thai just to help their families, and you can become famous. You can become a celebrity. Like I think about big names like Senchai or Buakar, which is a sort of
Right.
that's everybody know internationally.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Some guy is amazing.
yeah, amazing. Sinchai is one of my idols and
Ah,
one of the best of the modern era. Um, Curiously enough, he did a lot of study of the traditional, and he always adds some Boran techniques in his fights. So it's a very entertaining fighter. Um, when I started going to Muay Thai trainers and asked them to teach me some Muay Boran, I realized I was very surprised to realize that most of them know very little. Now Muay Boran is getting some momentum. They know that foreigners and the world is getting more interested. So even Muay Thai teachers are willing to learn something more. So it's spreading a little bit further. But I've always noticed quite a neat separation in between teachers who would teach the traditional sides only, and teachers who would only specialize on the actual Muay Thai, the fighting competition.
right.
Rules, it's also a matter of practicality. Rules are different. There's a whole lot of techniques that are illegal in the modern sports version, in the modern Muay Thai. So fighters that want to become lethal in that particular style somehow feel that they might be wasting their time learning something that they will never use.
Right.
And that's why it became quite separate in the first place. Then there's a lot of other masters that specialize in the Muay Boran and in the traditional aspect, and most of them do both weapons and the Muay Boran side. So that's something that's easier to find in one place, Muay Boran or Muay Chaya or any other different style. For for whoever is not that knowledgeable, Muay Boran is just a name that collects different style. Boran means ancient, so it's a historical, traditional aspect, and
Right.
the real the real styles grouped together by masters that did this big effort to reintroduce those techniques, to study from old books and ancient manuals, and codify, if you want, something new. But the original styles were often named after the original. The place of origin of the style, like Chiaya is a province, Muay Chiaya, and
Right.
you have Kru Nuat and Lopburi, and you have in the north you have Muay Jen and Tasao. So many different styles, and they all together called Muay Boran.
Excellent. And which is older? I have this confusion. I know Chaya, Muay Chaya comes from a region from Thailand, and Muay Boran means Asian art or Asian form,
Yeah.
combat art. So, which is older, Muay Chaya or Muay Boran? Muay Chaya comes from Muay Boran, or it's a different, are separated art?
Muay Boran is something, as it's called right now, what people learn right now, is a collection of different techniques from all these different styles. So the original styles of Muay Boran actually are much older. Muay Chaya is not that old. I think it should be around 200. We're talking about 200, 250, no more than 300 years ago. And other styles are a little bit older. Of course, the origin of the actual art is goes deep in the back. Um, there's a lot of documentations that come from way earlier. But again, those were just drawings. Those were just some sculptures, and there's not much real knowledge. There's not much that you can say for certain about those origins. Also, you need to consider that this happens everywhere. One always wants to get some noble origin to what they do. So there's always the mixture of history and legends
Right,
that
right, right.
needs to be considered.
Right. And in crew, which talking about the sport sides of these arts, which is the difference between Muay Thai and Muay Thai when you go to a competition? Are the rules different, or what's going on there?
There's traditionally the old Muay Boran fights were very similar to something that became very famous recently. Everybody nowadays is talking about Letway, where you use headbutts, where
Right,
you
right,
various rules. That version of Letway is still very close to what it used to be the actual modus operandi, the way of fighting that they were having. So they had very little protection, very little, close to no rules, and also victory would always be awarded only by KO, and something very different was that even after being KO'd, people were given the time to recover, and if they felt like, they could start fighting again. Of course,
uh,
with all the bad consequences that this would put to one's health. Uh,
yeah,
there's a famous story. Nobody knows if it's a legend or if it's if it's true, about Muay Chaya, where one of the biggest fighters of Muay Chaya was fighting against an exponent of a different style to impress the king, and he got knocked out first. Then he had more time to recover, and it's very famous to see in pictures and Muay Thai representation, where there's one fighter standing and the other one with the low stance. So the origin of that position is that this Muay Thai fighter started with a very low stance. He waited for a kick from its opponent, grabbed the kick, and then fell down with the elbow on his face, finishing the fight. And so, going back to your question, original fights were brutal, and they would end with big damages to the loser, and even the winner. People could die. A big part of Muay Boran, not many know about this, was grappling and leverages on articulations. There were throws. There's a big part called tum tap chap hack, where you can throw, where you can grapple, where you can break articulations, and that was very damaging. And I think in 1930s, they started introducing rules. They started introducing gloves like modern Western boxing, and they started cutting out and making a lot of these very dangerous techniques illegal, and that's how Muay Thai evolved from Muay Boran. So in terms of competition, massive differences.
Oh, really? So you brought into the conversation a very interesting topic. From my experience, I know that Southeast Asian martial arts, they always have a grappling or wrestling element on them, but I never saw anything about it on Thai martial arts. How was the name of the grappling system? Sorry.
Tum tap chap hack.
Okay. And it's when you train Muay Boran, Muay Chiaya, do you learn to do the grappling?
Yeah, something like that. In Muay Chiaya, the grappling and the ground game is not that evolved, especially on the grounds, because the idea is to know how to find on the ground to avoid it. So avoid getting stuck on the ground, getting back up and keep fighting, or eventually move on. But in other styles, there's a Muay Pram. Even if you think Muay Plam or Pram, the clinching is a form of grappling. There's a lots of very close positionings,
right.
Arms, dropping the neck, and then of course the aim is still to hit with knees or elbows, but it's still very close. It's quite different from actual standing.
Okay, great. And talking about Krabi Krabong, and nowadays, we know that people like to, there are people that like to train very raw and very brutal to get the real thing of the art. But nowadays, it's people want to train martial arts just to have fun or to do something different. It's the keeping safe the training has in some way changed the way to train the original art.
That's unavoidable. That's something that I talk a lot with other practitioners and even to my students. Loads of arts martial arts come from warfare. They come from situations where you'd have to be killed. Nowadays, we luckily, I must say luckily, we're very far from that situation.
Right.
Even those masters that talk about self-defense and they say, I'm going to teach you how to defend yourself when your life is in danger. People need to remember that you are in a dojo, you are in a gym, and the situation is uncomparable to what really happens on a battlefield, where you can say, especially with weapons, you do not get hit, you do not get hurt, you lose limbs. That's a completely different story. So when practicing martial arts, one needs to know, okay, you want to learn to defend yourself, you want to be a fighter. I strongly encourage always to do a real sparring with resistance rather than just forms. I encourage people who want to try competing, because competing, you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about human nature. But I never push this idea. You're gonna be able to go on a battlefield and fight, fight for
Right.
your swords. That's not the real thing. That's not the real thing. This is a completely different things. In the gym, we do our forms. We follow the traditional teaching. We do Dap Thai is the competition side of
That's what.
Krabong. Dap Thai simply means Thai swords, and I do teach Dap Thai, and we make sure that we have all sorts of protections. We have shields, we have helmets, we have padded sticks. We don't want to be those like other schools. I still respect differences. I still respect, but I don't want my students to break a finger and lose a month of training just because they
Right.
want to feel tough. You
Right.
want to feel tough, train
Yeah.
regularly. That's how you become tough. Train
Right.
regularly, challenge yourself, and keep training. Keep your body healthy to keep training. That's how you become tough.
Right. Right. And I was going to ask you about that Thai. It's Thai fencing. It comes from Krabi Krabong, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's the sports version. Of course, you can have a sports version with real swords and or even metal weapons. So
Yeah. It will be a very short competition with real
yeah,
weapons.
very short. Oh, well, I've seen in Australia. I can't remember the name, but they have this very interesting projects where they have high tech armors. I don't know if you've seen them. High tech armors that calculate and they give scores to the actual precision and power of hits, and they simulate something that's real. But again,
Right.
it's growing. I hope it gets bigger. That's very interesting. In
Okay. It's popular that Thai around the world. It's
uh,
going. It's growing.
it's a very early stage right now. I've seen some videos on social media, and last thing that I've seen, it was growing, but I think it's still isolated in Australia right now. I
Oh,
really wish they get bigger, because they try to put together all different styles. That's the ultimate dream of any martial arts enthusiast, to see which style is the best. So having different styles compete one against another, it's definitely a really interesting idea.
right. And what is the speaking of that Thai? Do you teach it as a sport or as a part of the traditional Krabi Krabong?
I do teach the Krabi Krabong style Jiao Ram, and we use wooden sticks to emulate swords. And we have reproduction of swords, and only with experienced students we use metal swords. Of course, they're blunt; they're not swords; they're just pieces of metal that look like swords. So it's still all safety that you need to be very careful about. And
Right.
Thai is normally we do that in different days because, of course, similarly to what happened in the Muay Thai, you can do everything and you have limitations due to the rules that are introduced, and you need to have a little switch in the mindset when you start competing with
Right.
in Thai with some protections, and
Right.
you still want to use the style. You don't want to get into a brawl, and at the same time, you don't want to waste your energy and your hits for something that in a Krabi Krabong show would look fantastic, but in a fight would be pretty much irrelevant.
Right. And Kru, there's a difference about training empty hands and with weapons. I mean, for me, my personal opinion, it's not the same to avoid or to dodge a guy hitting you with a bat and a guy throwing you a punch. That's my vision. I mean, the weapon goes faster. I mean, in speed, and maybe with empty hands you can cover more quicker. So what are the benefits of training one or another? I mean, what is the benefit of training empty hands compared to training with weapons based art?
I always try to focus a lot on the fact that you need to have the utmost respect and fear also for weapons. Weapons are not toys. Weapons can do an incredible deal of damage on your body. Even just a stick, or sometimes in a pub or on the street, a bottle or anything can be extremely dangerous. So that's not something to underestimate.
Right.
Introducing weapons, either from the very beginning in certain styles or gradually in other styles, it's important because it teaches you how to work on those situations. It teaches you how to, mainly, if you do want to be practical, to save your life, to learn how to run from weapons. I always say, if you see a knife, run. That's what you want to do. If you really cannot go anywhere, you have to engage in some situation. But the actual things to learn from weapons training is how to not die, because that's what happens
Right, right.
in a fight. That's unavoidable. In a fight with weapons, you risk your life. You risk your
Right,
life, and it takes nothing. It takes a little cut. One expert hand can kill someone else in a few seconds, like this. So rather than giving the full sense of security to people to think, oh, learn, I don't know, I'm saying knife fighting in my school, and you will be invulnerable and you will be able to disarm anybody with a knife. No, I always say, okay, if you really have to, you want to know how to defend yourself, how to protect your organs, your neck or your heart, your lungs, or everything. But think always first, avoid the actual contact first. Avoid
right.
the contacts, be alert, be able to foretell that something is going in the wrong direction. And if you have the possibility, run.
Right.
That's to me the most important thing to learn with weapons. Compared with bare hands in a sports, again, I always encourage people to test themselves, exit their comfort zone, go somewhere where they're scared and they have to face their fears and they have to compete mostly with themselves, because that's what you want to learn when you fight, when you compete. In a more self-defense um, environment, well, most of the time you don't carry weapons. I don't know. I don't know about. Don't want to get involved into all debates about weapons and firearms and everything, if it's right or if it's not. But most of the time, you don't have one. So maybe you can think everything is a weapon. Yeah, of course you can grab something and throw at people, but
Right.
ultimately, all fights end up that you've got two hands, the other guy has two hands, and you're gonna have to get involved. So that's something that you want to always consider.
Yeah, and bare hand traditional Thai martial arts have proven that they are very effective. When going bare hand in an actual fight, they are quite effective. So, talking about the traditional side of Thai martial arts, which is your favorite style, if you can say?
You mean with the weapons or disarmed?
No, empty hand, empty hand.
Empty-handed. Well, I've studied Muay Boran and I've studied Muay Chiaya. Of course, the one that I'm teaching is Muay Chiaya because I fell in love with it. But I love the culture that's behind Muay Boran. I recently studied Muay Boran with Master Eke, Craig, in Greece, and the culture and learning the names in Thai, learning where techniques comes from. It's absolutely fascinating. It's something that, to me personally, makes a big part of the war. It's never just learning how to punch people. To me, it's learning about a culture, learning about what's the background, learning about even the language. It's very satisfying to know how to understand the moves and the movements in Thai, so that whenever people go to Thailand, they start understanding what's going on, what happens. It's a big section that I'm really keen on teaching and transmitting to my students.
Right. Well, Kru, we're running out of time, but I don't want to leave without asking you the last two questions.
Okay.
What are three? Can you name us three of your favorite martial arts movies?
Favorite martial arts movie? Oh, that's a really interesting question. Okay. Of course, I would say On Bak. That's because I'm really involved with that. And lately, I'm a big fan of Eco Wise.
Oh, yeah.
The It's 1 and 2 really good movies, and I'm sure they're it's quite the same group. Eco Wise was there as well. It's called, I don't want to say something, but I think it's called The Night Come For Us. Which is still mainly Pencaxilat, and it's really good plot.
Okay. And for our Latin American audience, what training options are you offering? Well, not only for Latin America, for everybody in the world. What are the training options with you that you're offering?
Okay, of course, I'm offering live classes, private classes or group classes, but due to this situation and COVID, and also I do receive requests from I've received requests to study at a distance even before COVID, and I've always been a little bit skeptical. But when lockdown happened, that was the only thing that you could do, and I started. I started teaching online, and a little bit at a time, I started realizing that there is a wide range of possibilities to actually teach techniques online. Of course, it's always propedeutic. If you learn something online, eventually you need to always think that at one point you need to do that live, and you need to feel the contact, you need to feel the resistance. That's unavoidable. So I offer online classes on a daily basis. I do have a bunch of regular students right now, and if anybody is interested, I'm available. The website, as a reference, is tacticalthaiswordlondon.co.uk. My Instagram is @Kru Nuat, and from there, people can find a lot of information to get involved and learn more.
Right, and it's a good thing that you're doing the online training, because as a guy that lives in South America, sometimes when you want to try something, or you want to train Krabi Krabong or Muay Chiaya, you have to go to Thailand, and it's not that easy to do it.
It's not cheap. It's not easy to organize. I know that very well. It takes lots of organization and sacrifices too.
Yeah, so it's a good thing that you are doing if you are opening the possibility to people to train online from different sides of the world. That it's quite great. And well, I wanted to thank you for being here today. I know there's a lot to talk more about, but I hope you can join us in a second interview in the future
Why
to
not?
keep talking about your work and about traditional Thai martial arts. And well, I'm very grateful that you were here today. And do you want to send a message to our viewers in Latin America or in the
Yeah, why not? First of all, thanks for having me, and good luck with what's going on right now in Latin America. And keep practicing. Martial arts is a big way to face difficulties that you're gonna face in life too. So keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing.
Well, thank you very much, Kru. It was a pleasure.
Kopung krab.
See you then.
See you. See you.
Bye bye.